Can you guess what Oprah, Serena Williams, Leonardo DiCaprio, Hugh Jackman, and Bill Gates all have in common? They all work with a life coach. And so as a life coach, believe me, I get it more than anybody else that not every young woman in the whole world can afford life coaching. Not every young woman in the world necessarily wants life coaching or is interested in that right now in this point of their life. And so I wanted to do a video where I shared with you my top life coaching principles that I teach to young women and nearly every single one of my clients, because these are universal principles that I have found in my coaching that just resonate with people. And I've never had a client ever tell me like, oh, that tool wasn't as helpful as this tool. Like, these are my best tools that I'm going to offer you today, because I hope that you see the value in life coaching. But more importantly than I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want you to have these principles because they'll change your life. So I want to give you my 4 best life coaching advice for you so that you can implement them in your life, because I promise you that for 99% of you, one of these principles will help you with the situation of life that you're in right now. So let's go into this coaching session with me and you, babe. First and foremost, if you and I were coaching one-on-one, one of the things I would start to assess is how nice are you to yourself? And we would start to work on this mindset shift of being nice to yourself. Yeah, that's one of the very first things we would tackle, because let me tell you why. We all can pick ourselves apart, so choose to be nice to yourself. I have clients that come to me and they say things like this. They say, Abby, I really miss who I was. I really miss a couple years ago. I was crushing it. I was skinnier than I was now. I was healthier. I was making more money. I was happier. I had my life figured out back then, and now I don't, because something must be wrong with me. And I have to stop and remind them that that same person is still there. So I want to challenge you that if you are feeling like you aren't good at your job, if you aren't good at relationships, if you aren't good at being a mom, if you aren't good at being a student, or you just feel like you're a mess, I want to remind you to be nice to yourself. Because this is truly a principle that will change your life when you can start to realize that just like everybody else that you love, just like all the other important people in your life, you have a relationship with yourself, and you've got to be nice to yourself. Because if I wasn't continually nice to my husband, our relationship would start to deteriorate, right? If I wasn't continually nice to my best friend, we probably wouldn't be best friends anymore. So are you continually nice to yourself? Now, a lot of clients sometimes say, well, Abby, I have all these goals and I want to push myself really hard. And I say, yes, do that from a place of love, because there is a big difference between doing that of a place of you're ugly, you're shameful, you are not enough, and I need you to be better, and coming from a place of, hey, thank you for getting me to where we are. I have these amazing qualities and traits about myself, and those traits, this determination, this self-discipline, that's what's going to get me to the next level. So thank you, self. Thank you for being willing to go on this journey with me. And hopefully this is the lowest point of our life and it's only up from here. So be sure that you are practicing being nice to yourself. Now, the second principle that I would talk to you about in a one-on-one session is called the river of misery. And before we explain this, I got this principle from another life coach, because yes, it's important to continually be looking at new life coaches, different point of views, being coached yourself to learn and grow. But Jody Moore shared this with me and it changed my life. And now I share it with young women that in life, we start out in a baby pond. And believe it or not, this is a pond. And this pond is great, but soon we outgrow it. And we realize that we want something more in our life. And so we have to go through this little river that's uphill to get to a bigger pond, to get to our goal, to get to anything in life that's more than what we have right now, that's different than what we have right now. And this river is miserable. It's 100% awful. And so it's called the river of misery for a reason. And so often when, I'm talking to young women and we're talking about their goal to go from, hating school to loving school, there's a transition period. And so often we forget about that transition period of, man, it emotionally is draining to stretch myself and to try these new ideas and to put my mind to work in different ways than I've ever done before. And that takes energy, right? And think about like if you were on a weight loss journey, and I think we've all been there, where you're like, hey, this is where I'm at my current weight. I want to be 10 pounds lighter, right? That's my better pond. Guess what? This path of exercise and eating right and changing your lifestyle is hard. If it wasn't hard, we would all just swim downstream to bigger ponds. And that's not how life works. So I hope that you can realize that as you choose to up your life, as you choose to set goals and become more than you are right now, you're gonna go through a couple rivers of misery. You're gonna go through a couple situations that are unpleasant, that are stretching, that force you to grow. Now, does it have to be miserable? No, but I think it's super important to brace yourself and say, hey, I'm on this journey. This is what I signed up for. And so when my goals seem hard, when they seem far away, when they seem like I just can't sustain this any longer, take a step back, take a deep breath and realize, hey, I'm in this river of misery, and guess what? I'm gonna come out on the other side. So I'm in the right place. If you're on the right path, it will always be uphill. That is one of my favorite quotes from Henry B. Eyring. It's on my wall. I hope it's on your wall now, because it's true. If you're on the right path, it is 100% uphill. The third principle that I think is vital to anybody who's trying to change their life and trying to truly become better than they are right now is this principle called all good days. Now, that is really gonna stretch your mindset right now. That is really gonna stretch probably your mode of thinking right now, because we've all grown up. We all have grown up in a world that treats our day like it can be good or bad. And there's only good or bad days, right? Somebody asks you, hey, like, how's your day going? And usually the answer is great, right? But if it's not, people say, oh, man, it's been a rough day. Man, it's been a hard day. People ask you or say, oh, what side of the bed did they get up on today? Like, they got up on the wrong side of the bed. We treat our days like they're this black and white. Either I'm gonna have a good day or I'm gonna have a bad day. I'm here to tell you that the 100%, I got to go to Disneyland and eat a caramel apple and all the rides, the lines were short. Those days are rare. They're amazing. They are what I would call the most spectacular days in the world, right? Days you get married, days that, it goes perfect on that first date, days that you just got that raise at work. Like, those days are amazing. But what about all the other days? What about all these other days that you just got up, went to school, went to work, it was fine, nothing happened, and then you went to bed and repeated? What about those days? If we have this mindset that days are either good or bad, it all gets blurry, and we start to think that some of those really normal, awesome, just living my life can be bad days or bad days. So I coach this principle of all good days, that we decide right now, that every single day that we have in our life is going to be a good day. Now, I hear you, and I hear that little skeptic in the back of your mind saying, but Abby, not all days are good days. And I've been there with you. the day like a loved ones die, those are not good days, right? Those are hard days. Those are emotional days, right? Days that you are like somebody's rude to you, or you have bad experiences that happen to you at work, or maybe something embarrassing happens. Those can be really emotionally hard moments and hard days. And I'm not telling you to pretend that those are okay. I'm not telling you to pretend that you glaze over those and say, oh, I'm not gonna feel sad because I'm only gonna have good days. I'm only gonna be positive. No, life is to be felt. Life is this emotional roller coaster, and some days you're gonna get a flat tire, you're gonna like get hurt, you're gonna have your heart broken, and those moments are gonna come. But the distinction is that we can have bad moments and still have a good day. There's really tricky moments of navigating this idea and philosophy of all good days, but I hope you try it out, because most of us aren't gonna have those crazy days that hit us, good or bad. We're just gonna have regular days. And so I want you to choose right now that all those regular days, all those days that you get to live and breathe and be on this earth and feel emotion, whether that's what we deem negative emotion or positive emotion, that it's a good day. And there can still be progress, even if that progress is crying your eyes out. Even if that progress is realizing that your boyfriend was a total jerk, and though you're heartbroken, guess what? At least you didn't get further in this relationship, right? So always just have this mindset that, you know what? I'm gonna make the most of these moments in my life, and when bad things happen to me, I'm gonna remember that this is a moment. This is not my whole life. This does not paint or stain me in any way. This is a moment that I can process, that I can treasure, that I can change, that I can like progress through. Try it out. See what happens for you. Okay, this principle has changed my life, continues to change my life. And so of course I teach it to every single coaching client that I have, and I'm gonna teach it to you now. And I hope that you cling to this one, because this is life-changing. It really has changed my life. I'm gonna share with you how. But it's this principle that you should be living your dreams right now. And I love coaching people on this, because their very first thing that they tell me is they say, Abby, but I just talked to you. I just told you all my goals, and you know that none of those have happened yet. You know that I'm not a millionaire. You know that I'm not married. You know that I'm not, where I want to be in life right now. Whether that's 10 pounds lighter, whether that's in a different country, whether that's done with school or in your dream career, doesn't matter. Because I want you to make the decision today that you are going to do everything in your power to live your dream life right now. Okay, I'm going to give you some real life scenarios, because I used to be that individual that was waiting to live my dreams until something happened. So when I was in high school, it was, hey, when I get long hair, I'm gonna be so attractive and so happy, and I'll finally have a boyfriend that loves me, and life will be great, right? Okay, and then when you get to college, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, if I could just get to college and get in a career, like I could live my dream life, I'd have so much money, I'd, be able to do all these things, right? And then after I graduated college, it was like, oh, when I get married, got married, right? And then when you're married, it's like, oh, when my husband's done with school, when we have babies, when we make a fortune, when we live in a bigger house, right? Like the list is never ending. And so one day it just kind of hit me really hard that while my life was great, I was waiting to live my dream life. I was waiting to, for things to happen before I was completely and utterly happy and satisfied with my life. And I just realized, I said, well, why can't I do some of these things right now? Why can't I just go for it? And so I did. And granted that sometimes you have to be a little bit creative on creating your dream life right now. But I'll give you some examples from my life. So I used to really feel like I just could not be happy and satisfied until I was like full-time coaching and speaking and just like having a mega audience, right? And that's something that I'm still really looking forward to. And I just decided one day that, well, more in reality, I was just like so sad and having like a little bit of like a mental breakdown, because we all have those. And I was talking to my husband and I was just like, this sucks. Like, nobody watches my videos. Nobody comments on my Instagram. Nobody even knows who I am. And my last speaking gig, like, it was okay, you know? And so I was just really down on myself. And I was like, I'm never gonna live this dream until I'm making crazy money, and I just can't be happy in what I'm doing right now. I feel like it was a gift from God, but I, at that moment, got a message on my Instagram, and I looked at it, and it was from a young lady, and she said, hey, I just watched your video on, I think it was like what to do when your life is like blowing up in a disaster. And she said, I have felt like my life is blowing up in a disaster, and your video helped me. And she's like, I felt really inspired that I found it. I hope that you know that you impacted my life, and I hope that you don't stop. And this individual didn't even realize like what that meant to me, but also just changed my total view. And I realized that I'm waiting to be really happy with my business and with my career until I made a massive impact. But I was making an impact. It might have not been to 100 girls, but for one girl, it made a huge impact in her life. And so I just had this total shift. And so, yes, that was kind of more of like this mindset shift of like, okay, like what I'm doing right now matters, and I'm not gonna wait for something like Instagram or YouTube to tell me that I'm successful. I get to decide today that I'm successful. Other examples, because that one's a little bit more like meta in kind of a funny way. Let me share with you some like real like boots on the ground examples of how you can really live your dream life. So this happens to me all the time. I see something that I want, just like a kid at Christmas, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want this gel nail set so bad. For me, it's been a piano for years since I moved out of my parents' house, right? I want a YouTube studio. I want, oh my gosh, this designer purse. Like, I don't know what your thing is. Like, I have lots of things, you know? And sometimes you have to face the reality that, like, you can't afford that right now, or maybe that's not in your budget for right now. And so I went to it and I said, okay, universe, I want this thing. I'd love to live my dream life right now, and part of my dream life involves having this thing. And so I'd go to it, and I promise you, like, no lie, those things would pop up in my life, whether that was a sell, whether more realistically, because you know, if you watch some of my videos, I'm a thrifter, I'm a garage seller. I'd find those things at a garage sale, or I'd find something that would work in the interim until I got the money to buy like the bigger thing that I wanted. So I hope that you're not letting anything in your life slow you down. Whether that's you want to buy a new pair of shoes and you're just like not sure how to do that, and then boom, you have the idea to look on Facebook Marketplace and a girl just happens to be selling a brand new pair that didn't fit her but is your size for half the price. I mean, do not limit yourself. Do not limit yourself when it comes to living your dream life. And I promise you that this can happen in really small ways and really big ways. Now, I do not advocate in any way, and this always comes up with one or two clients. They're like, well, should I go into debt to get my dream car or my dream house or any of these things? I'm not, like, debt's always a bad idea. And I'm not telling you to do that. I'm telling you to see where you are right now and see where you can expand your mindset, expand your ideals, expand what you're doing right now to live your dream life. Silly examples, but I I see these ones in girls that I coach over and over. They say, oh, when I'm at a career and I get to go into the office every single day, I'm gonna dress so cute. And I'll ask them, I'll say, okay, well, you're in college right now. How do you dress? And they're like, oh, I just wear like sweats and a hoodie and blah, blah, blah. Nothing wrong with that. But if your dream life is to dress cute at the office every single day, why don't you dress cute to college every single day or to the gym every single day, right? Or if your dream life is to get a delicious drink every single morning as you go on your way to work or school or wherever you need to go, but you just don't feel like you can afford that right now, maybe you could buy like a really cool, I don't drink coffee, but like an espresso maker, and then like have your little fancy drink that you make at home every day until one day you can afford Starbucks every morning. Like, I want you to just stop this video, make a list of some things in your life that when you think about your dream life, those are things that are in there. What can you do to fix that? Another example from my life, I just thought about this. So when I like close my eyes, and I highly suggest this for you to do at least once a week, if not more often, close your eyes and visualize like, what does your dream life look like? Pretend you're waking up as your future self, and what does that look like? Where do you live? What do you do? What's your schedule? Like, go through all those motions, because that helped me realize that in my dream job or my dream future that I see with my dream life, I visualized myself getting up and going downstairs in a gorgeous home, but going downstairs to a home gym, right? That, had all the equipment, had everything I needed, and I didn't even need to like get in the car on a cold winter day and drive to the gym. And that was like such an exciting part of my future life. And I caught myself saying like, oh, I just can't wait till I have an at-home gym. And I stopped because I live this principle too, and I have to check myself sometimes. And I said, what's stopping me from doing that right now? And I looked and I realized that I had a pair of dumbbells and like a yoga mat. And I was like, well, okay, that's not a gym, but it's a start. And so then I went and I researched, how much does it cost for this piece of equipment? Believe it or not, I threw it out there. I wanted a spin bike. A neighbor offered to give me their spin bike for free, because that's how the universe works, my friends. So I got my free spin bike. I spent like $200 on other equipment. I went to garage sales and found weights like before I knew it, in about a month, no joke. I had all my basic equipment for an at-home gym, and I was able to cancel my gym membership. And now I live that part of my dream of that I've turned a room in my home into a little home gym. Now, it's tiny. Is it the same gym that's in my beautiful dream future home? No, it's not, but it's a start and it's super close. And I promise you that some of my equipment that I have now is equipment that will be in that future gym. So don't limit yourself. Put it out there. Start to look for little ways that you can start to live your dream life right now. Okay, I kind of went off on forever on the dream life like principle that I teach, but I can't tell you how many times that little things happen and it just clicks, and I realize, hey, having a home gym wasn't that hard. I wasn't that far away from actually living that part of my dream. So crazy about it. But I'm crazy about all these principles because they work. I teach them to my clients and I hope they help you. Comment below, like, which one of these like blew your mind, or is one that you were like, that's what I need to focus on right now. I hope that there was one of these that really resonated with you. I hope you'll give this video a like and a subscribe so you can get videos on how to crush young adulthood and master this mess of personal development and living and adulting, because that's what we talk about on my channel. Now, if you liked this video, I know you're gonna love this video, which is all about how to increase your confidence as a woman, because besides these 4 principles that I teach, that is one of the number one topics that I talk to my clients about, is increasing their self-esteem and working on being more courageous and being more confident. So I hope you check out that video, and I hope that this was a helpful life coaching session for you. So I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Abby J out.